but prices have not come down at all.
The job market is
Job
weakening.
market is still extremely difficult.
Right.
Wages have not gone up. Health insurance premiums are going to go up. Car insurance goes up every year. People's homeowners insurance goes up. Rent is going up. Young people have no hope of buying a home. And then when they try to buy a home, they end up, like I said, they end up competing with like Blackstone or somebody
The
else.
average home buyer now is 38 years old. It just came out.
Right.
The average home buyer, 38.
On the flip side, baby boomers can't sell their homes.
Right.
They pay massive capital gains taxes. They don't know, like, well, what do I move to? How do I downsize? I can't replace what I have.
Right.
So there are problems on both ends.
Right.
These are the issues that matter so much to Americans. These are the issues. I know people that literally, some of my own personal family members, some of my own personal friends, they're getting by month to month, charging up their credit cards. Literally, that's how they're getting by, charging up their credit cards. And no, all I've seen is a revolving door of foreign leaders in the White House. That's all I've seen.
When the Egyptian revolution happened in 2011, when the so-called Arab Spring uprisings were happened, the US-backed dictatorship of Hosni Mubarak was toppled. And there was a popular revolt. And then Egypt, for the first time in decades, had free and fair elections. And the candidate who won those elections with the wide support, not just of religious Egyptians, but also secularists and young people, was Dr. Mohamed Morsi, who came out of the Muslim Brotherhood movement. And he won a democratic election, even though a lot of the people that voted for him were not members or supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood. But he won a sort of consensus of the population. And within like a year or so, the US was backing a coup where General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took power, and Egypt's gone back to the moment of we're not going to have any real democracy anymore. And I think that the question then becomes, Mohamed Morsi in Egypt was an interesting guy because he was modern, he was extremely well educated, he was a political realist, and I don't think it was given a chance to even see what does it look like to have a country that has democratic elections, has a distinctly religious sort of identity to it, but also respects a basic secularism that's never really been allowed to function in the modern era because the United States doesn't want that. The United States isn't actually interested in having democracy in any of these countries. Look who Trump was asked by Dana Bash from CNN this morning, what about if a religious figure takes power in Iran? Because Trump's saying I have to be involved with the picking of it. Iran needs to pass a national voter ID law real quick to keep Trump out of it. But Trump's saying, I have no problem with religious leaders. And he's basically saying it doesn't have to be a democracy. I'm fine. They don't care. They don't really care. They want malleable states that in one way or the other are going to do the bidding of the United States, and they couldn't really care less what they do to their own people unless it's convenient to the narrative.
The medium is crumbling. They have lost the public, and more importantly, they've lost young people completely because young people are realizing they're being propagandized at a level that older people gladly accepted. It was normal. It was fine. Older people were okay with being propagandized as long as they got a few things out of it. The young people are getting nothing out of it. Wait, you're lying to us and I can't own a house? I can barely have a job? I have to be forced into the gig economy? I get to deliver burritos? And I have to listen to this bullshit? And I have to pretend that this is all real? And I can't afford frozen yogurt with my girlfriend? And I have to go along with this horse shit, and I have nothing and no money for it? If you're doing something, you want to get something out of it. If you are going to delude yourself and believe the bullshit on the news, you have to get a little bit out of it. And what Americans got for many years was a patch of dirt, a little driveway, and a chance. They don't have any of that anymore. We've taken that all away from them. We've pushed them into a gig economy. We've pushed them into the hellscape of rent that goes up every single year. And the propaganda is actually getting worse. It's getting more disconnected from reality, more Orwellian. We're asking them to believe crazier and crazier things and taking away the little bit that most people had. People don't want to be billionaires. People want a house, a family, a little retirement plan, some money in the bank if there's an emergency. They want health care. They want some kind of steady job. They want a community with people that share their values. They're getting none of that right now.
Folks, I love this mug. You see how British it is? Everything here is very muted and green.
And by the way, you come here and they go, oh, it's been taken over by hordes of roving barbarians. That's what they say. But you come here, it's actually really nice and sunny and lovely. But I mean, in America, they're like, it's just machetes and tribal warfare. It doesn't seem like that. I've only been here a day. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be stabbed later. But it seems very beautiful and it's a world-class city. And I'm not getting the vibe for the moment. For the moment, we're gonna be here a little bit. So let's, but for the moment, immigration's big here as an issue. I know that. I've talked about it before. I do not live here. I don't have a ton of friends here. I know a few people here. I know London is one of the wealthiest cities in the world, if not the wealthiest. It is really, the money in London is on a different level, even coming from New York. And I always take a lot of pride in being from New York, even though I'm from Long Island, sort of a pig pen adjacent to New York. But a lot of funny people, David Tell, Colin Quinn, the Baldwins, Rosie O'Donnell, Amy Schumer. Sort of a bovine, myself, sort of a bovine quality to many of us, sort of like a bovine facial structure. But I don't live in London. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that from what I see, the money here is on a different level. It is the financial capital that's halfway between New York and Asia. And you have a lot of young people whose parents, are wanted for war crimes at The Hague, or they've poisoned a river in Zambia, or they've done some arms dealing they shouldn't have, and they want their children to grow up as British gentlemen. It's true. So they take all of their blood money and they park it in a very secure and discreet condo or townhouse, and their children go to British schools.